Guys, today I'm going to react to Shortcat on Mario Kart, and I might react some funny stuff, and is the best shortcuts on Shortcat. Remember to subscribe. Sorry about the ads, guys.
Meet Base 44, a complete AI.
Today, I will be teaching you how to do all of the most important shortcuts, secret paths, and strategies to help you win in Mario Kart World on all 30 tracks. And yes, I am speaking as I play. I just want to show you that the stuff we're going to learn today, it's all very consistent. And these are things that you want to learn if you want to get better at this game and do better on all the tracks. We're not going to be looking at super risky strategies like this little trick right there.
Ooh, that's sick.
Yeah,
subscribe if that was, well, not subscribe, just comment if that was actually sick.
Not looking at those, but stuff like this is going to be what you always want to be doing online, like taking this glider onto this rail. Alright, so I will actually teach these in a sec. I just want to show you like kind of what we're getting ourselves into this video. This is a very important shortcut. That tire usually doesn't come with me. Yeah, so let's just slow down right here and go through that again. So let's break down what I just did there. As you approach the rail on the right, you can trick on this dark portion on the ground. I'm not tricking on the rail, I'm tricking on the ground. Then ride the rail until you're facing directly towards the next rail on the left side. At this point, you can trick off and keep holding R to charge a charge jump. Then charge jump to the left to get on this rail. Now keep in mind, with all rail strategies, you can go for more tricks sometimes, and you mostly want to memorize where to do these and don't improvise them. Because if you don't do it quite right, you can easily fall off the rail, and it's very punishing.
Also, this is part 1, so there's 2 parts.
Just reduce the number of unnecessary tricks. You will be slower, but at least it's easier for you to learn at first. Now, one thing you may not expect to be difficult is this ending glider, because if you just take this glider normally and try to move over to the rail here, it is very, very difficult. Yeah, I think I landed it, but it is very tough. What you want to do instead is take the glider from as far left as possible, like this. And then now you're mostly moving in a straight line and you can make small adjustments. And you want to land on this rail here. And of course, this is very easy. You just mushroom through the tires and you make it onto this shortcut. Then you just have to hop out around here, and then everything else is the same. You definitely want to avoid the rails sometimes if it's going to be too risky, like on lap 3 you could get shocked, or if you're about to get hit.
This is Mario Kart World.
This is the path on Mario Bros. Circuit. Crown City has 3 laps that are all different from each other, so it's very important to memorize the layout. But once you get into this very narrow section, this is where the first shortcut is coming up. It's right after these 2 ramps. So it's very important here that you do not get
there's a rail there, so you could go there.
Because then you're not well lined up to take the shortcut. If you have mushrooms at this section, then what you should do instead is trick off the first one, and then drift off this one, and then now you can enter this, and release an orange mini turbo right at the end of the grass. There's one mistake that's very easy to make here, and that is holding this drift too long. If you mushroom through the off-road here and then try to hold that for a better mini turbo, see how I come out with no mini turbo? If you watch the successful version of that, I released the orange mini turbo when I was still in the grass. Yeah, the mushroom is not big enough for this grass patch, so you have to release that mini turbo early before the grass cancels your drift. Now, as you're driving down this straight line towards the next section, you do want to get tricks on these rails here. However, I'm not going to be talking too much about this sort of stuff, like what's fastest at every section. If you want to know those, you can go check out the Mario Kart World Records channel, and that'll show you everything. But today we're just looking at things that are shortcuts or things you may not know. Now, this is not too important, but on this turn right before the glider, you can actually go off the blue part a bit earlier and get a trick.
Ooh, that's sick.
That's a little bit faster, not too important though. Now, at the start of lap 3, you can cut a bit inside here, and now we have 2 really big shortcuts. So if you have mushrooms, this is very important. You want to take this shortcut, and then just align yourself straight as you come out so you can take the next one easily. Alright, and then next up, we actually have a little charge jump onto this section here, and then you can just keep riding this until the end. Left trick before the ending. Oh, I got an extra trick by accident. That's fine, though. And then you want to aim for that tree. So I want to try to see if I can get fast version here. You can actually get 1 extra trick here, but not necessary. Yeah, aim for the tree. It's a bit tough at first. There you go. Now, there is one more thing you could fail there, and I just want to show it.
Well,
I'm going to try to go too far left here and hit the wall. Yeah, if you hit the wall, very important, do not trick off of that wall. Did you see what I did there? if I hit the wall, what I do is I just let myself ride the wall until I'm done. That way I keep going in a straight line. If you trick off that wall, you end up flying to the right, and that's not good. Next up is Whistle Stop Summit, and this one's actually quite difficult with a lot of alternate paths and shortcuts. So, you could go forward,
this is
but
a race.
if you're starting further back or further left, or it's just lap 2 or 3, you can take this path instead. And this is faster. You want to get onto either one of these rails at the bottom here, and then, you know, trick wherever you're comfortable with, but if you don't know where to trick, just don't trick. And that gives you a single item box while also taking a very fast path.
I'm just guessing that because I don't play Mario Kart well, I play Mario Kart.
Just go wherever the coins are.
8 Deluxe.
Now, there is a faster way to take this section if you don't need an item box, and that is to take the left rail, and as soon as you can, trick to the left here, and ride this rail. Then between the paint chips on that pipe, you trick to the right, and then that is the fastest way to take the section, but it does skip an item box. Now, I know some people, especially those who have just started watching Mario Kart World, you watch these rails and you're like, wow, that's so easy. You just go on the rail and then you just start tricking and it's so easy. Oh, okay. Yeah, this stuff is very difficult, and the rails definitely do not drive for you. So unless you have practiced specific tricks on rails, do not go for them. Because if you do something like this, your race is just over. And then if you go a little bit too late, you just lost a whole bunch of time. So make sure that you know exactly where you're doing these tricks and that you've practiced them. Because it is very, very risky when you fail a trick. If you don't trick left here early enough, oh, you are off the track again. Now, for this straight rail section, no matter which rail you're coming from, as you trick off the last part of the rail, you can just hold R for a charge jump, and then you can do this little wall jump shortcut. So fun. Shroomless shortcuts. So the most important part about this one is to aim for that little patch of grass that's sticking up in the ground when you charge jump. Then just charge jump to the left, and then wall jump, and you should be good. Now this last section is very complex with a lot of options. So the simplest thing you can do is to just get off of the rail, and there's going to be some items right here. So this works, but it's not the fastest. If you instead just continue to ride these rails, then you can actually access some items right here as well. And you can keep doing more tricks wherever you're comfortable with it. But of course, this is a lot harder than it looks to actually hit all of these tricks. Now, if you don't need an item, then I will show you the fastest path you can take here. And just slow-mo the video and rewatch everything I'm doing here, because there is way too much to go over, and it takes so much practice.
Okay, I might really.
Yeah, there you go. And then there's another mushroom shortcut right here at the bottom. Of course, this path is very difficult, and I will add 2 tips for you if you're struggling. First is you can ride this yellow rail to the end here, and that makes it much easier to get onto this rail. Now here, this is very important. Watch what I do right here. This is really bad. This is the worst thing that can happen if you take that path, is you get stuck on the rails and it puts you on a horrible line. Now, the reason that didn't happen the first time that I did it is when you trick off of the bottom rail and get onto the train tracks, you're probably going to land on the left rail. And you want to get off the left rail as soon as you can. So at this curved section of the left rail, when you're pointing directly at the right rail, this is where you should trick forward. This puts you on the right rail, and now you can get off whenever you want. But there is more to Whistle Stop Summit, because I am in free roam here to show you feather shortcuts. Yeah, you may not think the feather is a very good item just from your own use of it, but once you start learning the feather shortcuts, it can sometimes be one of the best items, because look at this! You just feather on the ground and trick, and you take the biggest shortcut on the track. The feathers are pretty common in free roam from the items, and if you rewind, you get it back.
Feathers.
So you can practice this way. And feather shortcuts are super important because you can get the feather in first place while you cannot get mushrooms. So it can be your only way to take shortcuts to gain a lead. And there's another one here as well. In the middle of the pipe here, you right trick, don't trick feather, and then you make it onto this path, and you get to skip that entire grass shortcut that you would have taken otherwise. So yeah, feather shortcuts, really fun, very useful too, and if you want to learn more, Watson has a video on a whole bunch of feather shortcuts that he discovered. So if you want to go check those out, go ahead. I will show some here that I think are the most important. On DK Spaceport, there's this shortcut right at the start, and I honestly don't recommend going for this because you're probably going to get bumped. You have to start really wide, curve in, and then mini turbo trick. It's actually not too hard once you figure out the alignment you have to do, but you can easily get bumped. So unless you're playing like the intermission towards DK Spaceport, I personally wouldn't go for that. But then this one you have to go for. You just go off these nails right there, and you take a little gap jump shortcut. Now, obviously, there are mushroom shortcuts on every turn. So, every single turn. I'm not going to explain that. Now,
Okay,
DK
this is
Spaceport also
actually-
has feather shortcuts, as you may have been able to guess just by looking at these, and you can cut these by a lot, just like that.
Oh, that was
Now, every time you
sick.
use a feather, make sure you also trick in midair to get a speed boost. And it's pretty much the same for all of these. Now, for this rail section, the feather shortcut works a bit differently because there's not a lot of room to get between the wall and
wow.
the grass. And if you touch the grass, then you lose all of your feathers.
Okay,
I mean, it
guys,
still
that's
works,
the
but
end
it's
of
not.
the video. Remember to like and subscribe, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And remember, if I get 100 likes or 100 views, I will get part 2. So remember to subscribe and like, and yeah, bye. And smash the subscribe button, same thing.